We are friends who live on mountains.
We are friends who talk good games.
Today, we are going to talk about a series rundown of Mario Kart.
All right.
Before we get into that, though, I don't remember how I came up with this. I just remember being slightly disappointed that you said you already had been doing a bunch of research on the Street Fighter characters for a completely separate reason. So I am going to fail to throw you off here. But I'm going to ask that question to you first anyways. If you had to share a bathroom, let's say like this is like a roommate situation, not just like a couple days on vacation. This is full. You moved in with Ryu. Anyway, if you had to share a bathroom with any of the Street Fighter characters, we'll say any of them. I only played 2, so I'm going to go with 2. But if you have one outside of that, I'll let you start.
So I've been working on a practice fighting game, and I'm so happy that you asked this because I had just been watching moves and like reading character profiles all week. My goodness. Okay, so like I think anyone who answers Blanca is just like messing with people. That's generally a bad idea. I'm not sure he's house trained. And he's real wild. So like that's the kind of situation where you could have a toilet knocked off its moorings and an apartment flood.
So you're going to bring that up in every episode.
2 for 2. I would never share a bathroom with Chun-Li. I would never share a bathroom with M. Bison because of the stomp. And so I'm kind of inclined to pick like the ponziest, most well-groomed characters. I said to you that Dudley from one of the later Street Fighters, I've actually never played any of the later Street Fighters, but I've watched them and read about them. He seemed like well-groomed, really well-manicured. But if we're sticking to Street Fighter 2, I'm gonna have to go with either Ken or Vega. Like they're very clean. They're very careful. And they're gonna take care of themselves, I think.
I'm pretty upset that you chose 2 because those now I have to think of something else. Well, let me start with the one since while I'm saying this, I'll think of somebody that I actually want to share a bathroom with. I'll start with who I would hate the most to share a bathroom with. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to be Dalsim. I never really knew how to say his name. For reasons, I do not trust anyone that can manufacture fire out of their diaphragm or gut. I don't know where it's coming from. He's manufacturing fire, and I can only assume that he's like burping when he does that.
Yeah.
So what happens when he burps out of his butt?
Yeah.
That fire,
that's
probably.
Bad. Yeah.
I don't want an exploding bathroom. That's the reason that I would choose Dalsim as the person I would least like to share a bath. I mean, it might be tied with Zangief for.
I was going to ask if you would rather Zangief or E Honda for your bathroom share.
E Honda.
Really?
E Honda.
No pile driver, and he lives in a bathhouse, so
he does. Yeah, it's immaculate. And he certainly has as like the sumo champion of the entire country of Japan, the entire empire of Japan. He has the nicest bathroom, as nice as it gets, probably besides the emperor. And he probably has multiple toilets, and they all probably have a really fancy variation of a bidet. That would
I don't know
nice.
If he would be happy sharing your bathroom or mine or really anyone other than his own bathroom.
No, he'd probably upset that I would be in there, but. The rent's cheap, so.
You know who's my number 3? Saget. He's super, super tall, super, super long legs, and I'm very amused at the thought that I walk in and I catch him reading a newspaper and he's got like 8 feet of legs. It's just a funny thought, funny image.
Okay, who's your least? Who'd you least like?
Blanca, just Blanca.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
fine.
I mean electrical, so hazard, like incredible bath shocking hazard, not house trained.
Sure.
Spinning moves, just disaster on all levels.
I want to say it's racist, but
every character that you pick from Street Fighter, unless it's Ken, it's racist.
Yeah.
Or Guile, but I wouldn't share. Actually, Guile's military with a toothbrush. Clean it down to it will be very clean.
No. I don't want to share him with Guile. Okay, so who does that leave? Because I still have to pick someone that I want to share a bathroom with. Balrog, absolutely not Balrog. His diet has got to be just not. Ugh. Who else is even in this game? Chun-Li.
I think we've basically discussed all of the main set. So you're kind of hosed. Yeah, Balrog,
Ryu.
Vega,
Ryu. Give me Ryu.
Okay. Run in the middle. Very
he
reasonable.
trained for at least 12 years under a very, what I can only assume was a very harsh and rigorous and regimented childhood.
Yeah.
He probably cleans his bathroom. And he lived with him and Ken, like, grew up together. I read that in Wikipedia yesterday. So if you think Ken has a good bathroom, Ryu probably does too.
Good bathroom, yeah.
That was
all
safe.
right. So our main topic.
Thank God.
We went 6 minutes on that, by the way.
Yeah,
so
I know.
So our main topic is Mario Kart. Starting in 1992, this franchise has run for at least 8 titles, depending how you count it. And we've loved, I think, every one of the titles in that series. So we thought we would go through them one by one.
Starting with the Super Nintendo game, which I can play. Like, so Claire and I have played, and she was like, "Oh, I like Mario Kart. I want to play this." And I was like, "You're not gonna like this. Like, nobody likes this."
She tried that once with Jin and got nauseous because of the way that Jin drove. Like, it's hard to.
Claire got herself nauseous because of the way she drove playing Super Nintendo Mario Kart, and I was like, I wasn't doing it. I wasn't doing much better. It's almost impossible to play at this point. It's weird because it's probably one of the greatest.
This is probably the one we're going to disagree about the most. I think we've talked about this before, and you don't particularly like it, right? Respect it without liking it, maybe.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, when I got my Super Nintendo as a kid, I think I had like 3 games. It came with Super Mario World, so I had that. And then I don't know, this is around Christmas or my birthday, whatever it was, I don't know. I got Donkey Kong Country and Super Mario Kart. So those are the only games I had. I played a lot of Super Mario Kart. Like, I think, and I beat everything.
Oh, yeah.
All stars on everything.
I think everyone who found this first, like, before any other Mario Kart, played it absolutely to completion. This was one of the early completion games for people. Like, I have to do every CC to like gold, or I don't remember if they had like a better than gold cup, but like best cup every CC.
Yeah. Yes.
I still like it. I look at this one basically as like the rough first album of like the band. You don't listen to it, knowing that you don't listen to it expecting the band's quality. You listen to it as like a nice throwback for the band's promise. Like, oh, remember when they were full of promise and they kind of sucked? This is great. They're just thrashing. This is like, this is their wild first album. Is it rough? Yeah. Yes. Is it still a lot of fun, like in the right mindset? I think yes.
When was the last time you played it?
I've actually played it within the last 6 months. Not for a long time, but I've like every once in a while. Basically, whenever anyone has a Super Nintendo Classic open, I will at least open it, and if anyone's willing, I'll play like a round or two. So even this is like, break out the old card deck. Let's just like play 2 hands.
Right. I think that's all it's good for now.
Yeah.
It's anyone who started with any game in the series later than that is not going to want to play Super Nintendo Mario Kart.
That's fair.
It's really unwieldy. Mode 7, I don't know about, Mode 7 gives me a headache now. I played like Super Mario Kart for like 30 minutes when I got my Super Nintendo Classic. And like I had a major headache.
Yeah.
Claire like wanted to throw up.
I think Mode 7 is a big part of why the adults in the previous generation were like, you keep playing the game, I can't look at it and I have to leave the room. Like, because it's bad enough now for you as an adult. Imagine if you were 45 and you had handed it to a new person, like a 9-year-old who was just discovering this for the first time, and they're like, woo, left, woo, right. And you're like, woo, no, I need to leave this room.
Yeah, no. So, but you're right. Like, this was the jumping off point for one of the greatest things that's really ever happened to multiplayer. So when it broke out, so 64 is when it kind of broke out and became like...
That's the album. That's like the It Went Mainstream Platinum album.
This is our OK Computer.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to make the Radiohead reference. This is OK Computer. Yeah. And then 64 is definitely more accessible than the Super Nintendo one. But if you play the 64 version with people who have been playing the 64 version since the 64 version came out, it's not fun for anybody that hasn't been playing it.
That's the one that people have really been able to like rat hole in and play like a first person shooter, like overplay to finish.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the one with the hard shortcuts. It's the one where if you don't get them, you're hosed, but you have to try.
Right.
It's the
generally weird N64 glitchiness.
But it's still really good.
Well, and like this probably has the Mario Kart 64 has the longest lasting value. I still see like occasionally in online like neighborhood blogs or whatever, like people are doing like Mario Kart 64 tournaments at bars, and there's like
there's a group of people who never moved on who are okay playing this. And there's a group of people who just didn't really think about it or don't play games anymore who will still sit down and like fondly remember and play this.
Well, I think that's what it is. Like a lot of people who grew up with video games and like then went on to kind of like not play video games anymore after like high school, whatever. They almost like picking up Mario Kart 64 is probably the closest thing I can think of to picking up a bike in like a video. And everyone like, oh yeah, I remember this. Okay, I just got to hold this weird controller and and you pick it up super quickly, and it's always very fun. So, but 64, I think really one of the things has long lasting value still. That hasn't been. I think 64 was the height of battle mode.
Yeah,
which is unfortunate because it was capped to 4 players. Yeah. But like
they never kept that really as good
in that mode. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they didn't spend as much time or care on that. But yeah, it's a bummer.
I think this is the first one that's worth asking. Like, this is the first one with some really memorable tracks. What are your like go to or like hated tracks? My hated track here actually is the this version of Rainbow Road. I loved the Super Mario Kart Rainbow Road. It's my favorite. It may still be my favorite Rainbow Road.
Which one?
The original.
There's like 3 of them.
No, the original Rainbow Road.
But there's like 3 different Rainbow Roads.
From Super Mario Kart?
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What do you?
Yeah. Well, we have to go.
Go
back and play them.
Okay.
There's a few different Rainbow Roads, unless I'm totally.
I have no idea. I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, okay, I'm gonna go look that up later.
I hope I didn't make that up. I didn't make myself sound like an idiot here.
Oh, it's gonna be amazing if you did.
Do you want somebody who's going to make those kinds of errors?
I thought there were multiple Rainbow Roads. But my favorite track, I don't know, one that's I really like Peach's Castle.
Yeah. What do you like about Peach's Castle?
Well, it had like a mile long ramp.
I like the feeling of dread when you're in the lead on that ramp. You're like, hold it together. Who's behind me? What's going on? I'm like such a target. I'm such a target right now.
Yeah. If you get knocked out of the sky,
you're so screwed. I think my favorite track from Mario Kart 64 was the haunted level. That was if you didn't love that level, then it was everyone's least favorite. They fell off like 15 times. I just honed in on that level and decided that was my thing, and so I ended up liking that level as like a freebie couple of points for me.
You're right. There was only one Rainbow Road in Super Nintendo. I totally just.
It's the fact that they've published a different Rainbow Road for every Mario Kart, and you've got like 8 Rainbow Roads in your head.
Yeah, the other thing is, so that one had like 4 different donut planes, and I think that's what was thrown. I thought there was like multiples of every single one.
Yeah,
because there's like 2 ghost courses, there's like 3 donut planes, there's like 4 Bowser's castles.
Yep.
I think I just assumed that there was.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I apologize.
That's okay.
I am dumb.
So moving on to Mario Kart Super Circuit, the Game Boy Advance game.
Yeah, I only ever played it like a handful of times. I never had this one on Game Boy Advance.
I mean, I want to kind of discredit it and just say, well, this one exists, moving on. But I do have to give it one big credit. Because they had 2 games to draw on and couldn't quite present as much new content as they wanted to, I believe this was the first one that set up essentially the new cups and the old cups. So this was the first one to kind of lean into Mario Kart nostalgia and say, okay, here are tracks that you guys aren't done playing to go along with new tracks. And that set a format that has really served the series in good stead.
Yeah, I agree. There's some cool ones in here that made it to later games. Ribbon Road made it to the new one on Switch. So did Cheese Land. I thought there was another one that I liked. Maybe it was the Mario Circuit that I liked that made it to the Switch version.
Where are you seeing these? I'm looking around and not seeing the track list.
Oh, I'm on a MarioWiki.com.
Oh, that's a much better.
Mario Kart Super Circuit.
I'm going to do that. A much better idea.
Shall we move on to Double Dash? I don't really have anything else to say about this one. So Double Dash.
Double Dash.
I don't know. This one still might be my favorite.
This is the experimental album. This is not everybody's cup of tea, but it is your and my shot of whiskey.
And,
Yes, no,
and maybe
absolutely.
really like the height of the series for the people who deeply, deeply love what this game was doing. And what this game was doing was letting you control two babies and switch them back and forth.
And like I wish Double Dash was like a separate game. I wish they would continue making Double Dash games separate from Mario
You
Kart.
want two branches of Mario Kart?
I do,
two
because
branches
that
of a
one-
Mario RPG.
Yeah, because Double Dash was just like was just like Mario Kart with a lot of cocaine.
Double
And
Dash
then-
was the yellow submarine of Mario Karts.
yeah,
It's the one that's the least for everyone, but again, it's the shot of whiskey for the few people who are like, really, yeah, that weird one. I love that.
yeah. It was also the first. It was the first one that gave you the ability to choose a different kart for your racer.
Mhm.
You could kind of customize. So even if you were a small, even if you were the babies, you had options to ride in like a heftier kart. You still wouldn't be as heavy as like a Donkey Kong or a Bowser, but you could kind of give yourself a little bit of, I don't know, a little bit of weight to not get knocked off of everything, like when
Yep.
you're going down Donkey Kong Mountain, which is a great track.
Yep.
And I'm very sad that they, the funny thing, now we're comparing this to albums and we're talking about tracks. It's just it just works really well.
It does, doesn't it?
That just clicked in my head that we were doing that.
I think this one did this one introduce any new items? I'm not seeing anything that's
Yeah.
or was this
It had,
blue shell?
Special. No, this was character special items.
Ooh.
Each character had their own special. The one thing that was kind of weird about it is if you were the green and blue Koopa, their specials were the 3 shells, which is like
sad.
But nobody else got them anymore, so it was still kind of. But it felt a little cheap.
Yeah, still sad. Oh, the red shells. Yeah, actually, okay, yeah. Given they're the only ones who got the triple red shells, yes.
Yeah.
Problematic.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool. I had a ton of new characters.
I think
This
it
was
had
the
the
first-
best tracks. I think this introduced the best tracks to the series. Like this is where we get Daisy Cruiser. This is where we get Baby
Oh,
Park.
yeah. Baby Park is hands down the greatest.
It's amazing.
This is also the very first game with Toadette in it.
Mhm.
That's something that you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Toad needed a partner for his card.
Double Dash also had, and I think that they have kept this, but they've made it a lot more subtle. Double Dash was the first one to have a catch-up mechanic. This is actually inside the. This was in their game design. Like there's a lengthy programming article about this, where they basically wanted to let players who were way out of first have a reasonable chance of catching up. Without making it look really unfair, but boy did they make it look really unfair sometimes.
I don't think
Yeah.
they did a very good job.
This was the game
making it look
where
unfair.
we learned that you have to be in second most of the time, and then it's really much better to like clip first at the end. Almost every other Mario Kart, it's been comfortable to sail in first. But I also got to credit them this because once they refined that mechanic in subsequent games, like Mario Kart became very good at not letting the first player coast, but leaving it a good idea to be in first and giving everybody else, even really novice players, a reasonable fighting chance. And that's like the hallmark of the series for accessibility, and I think it was born here.
Yeah.
Kudos even on that to Double Dash, and I will never dislike the feeling of, oh crap, I got like on Baby Park on lap 4, I just got first on lap 4. I'm now basically doomed on lap 7.
You're also kind of like, there's a point where you think like, okay, there's already been a blue shell, like maybe I can. Then Mario Kart's like,
Yeah.
but it can.
She's a cruel one, Double Dash. Also, the first Blue Sparks.
First Blue Sparks,
Yeah,
that's right.
that's the first Blue Sparks.
Yeah. The only reason this one suffers to me at all is because it's really hard to replay.
Yeah.
Unless you have a GameCube.
Yeah.
And even at the time, it was the mechanic of actually having 2 controllable people on a cart was never that fun.
No.
And nobody ever wanted to be the guy in the back of the cart.
Well, you credit them for taking a lot of wild drugs and making a lot of wild experiments on their experimental album, and then you're like,
Yeah.
I'm glad that they dropped. I'm glad that they no longer insist on bongos as the backing track for everything. Everything else
Yeah.
about the album is great. That was cool that happened, and that was just their bongo period. They're done.
Yeah. There's 3 really good songs
Yeah.
that they took and like made them like mainstays of their live performance, but for the rest of it we just kind of
You just
forget
ignore
that
it,
it
yeah.
happened.
So moving on to Mario Kart DS.
Mario Kart DS. This was
This was a big deal.
I spent a lot of time playing this game. Actually,
Yeah.
when this game came out, I went and bought my parents a new router because the one we had in our house Nintendo was very specific,
Yep.
as they are, about like what kind of routers would work with their online service.
Yep.
So there was only like fewer than 10, I believe. So I remember going out and being like, "Dad, I bought us a new router." He was like, "Why?" And I was like, "I need this. It's not." He was like, "Is it going to slow our internet down?" I was like, "It's not going to slow our internet down. It's just going to make my life a lot better." As I had to play Mario Kart online. I'd never been able to. All my whole life until that point, my only like way to judge how good I was at Mario Kart was by playing against friends. And that mostly meant playing with you and your brother.
How good did it turn out that you were at Mario Kart?
I did pretty well. Online.
That's kind of what I thought. You've historically been pretty darn good at it.
There's definitely a limit to the kinds of like anyone who's mastered some sort of like macro or micro like skill to like get like a dash on like even the smallest turns or the thing that was really popular in Mario Kart DS, which I sort of got into a little bit, was this thing they called snaking, where you could if you were really good, you could basically go in a straight line but like be constantly drifting and
always
micro boosting.
Yeah.
And then there was like a huge divide in the game of like, okay, there's people who can snake and there's people who are just like trying to have fun playing Mario Kart, and it was not. They kind of broke it for a while.
See, I could snake, but I was not nearly as good. Like, I think you were definitely. I have a phrase for this for a lot of things. You're better than all the bad people and worse than all the really good people.
Yeah.
But like, I think you were quite a bit better than I was, and I could snake. I went online and discovered that I was decidedly pleasantly average.
To me, the snaking just wasn't very fun. I just didn't think it was that fun of a.
Well, I actually this game. I think I played this more than any other one, but Mario Kart 64. This one got the biggest share of my time, and part of that was I actually really enjoyed just the feeling of driving around single player in this game. Like I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Not exactly snaking, but like the slide mechanism feels very comfortable in this game. The play control feels very good. And it basically it feels like fiddling a pen in your hand. I can sit anywhere and play this game.
So next was Mario Kart Wii. This was the first one. The thing that this brought new to the game was using the Wiimote as a steering wheel, which I hate. I absolutely hate. I did not find that to be fun, even a little bit. So
I found it to be really fun unless you were playing against people who were good, and then it was decidedly unfun because you couldn't beat them.
It was okay. I'll say this: it would be more fun if everybody was doing it, but you'd go.
We did that. We did some everybody wheel rounds.
You can go online, and people are playing a mix of ways. And if you think you're gonna like the people who are really really good at this game, if you thought you were gonna beat them with a wheel, you had no chance. I'm glad that by the way still is an option in the Switch game, but they don't make it as like obvious to you that you can do that.
Mario Kart Wii introduced my single favorite theme in the Mario Kart world. And themes are a big deal. Like part of why Mario Kart is so fun is just these evolving themes over time. Maple. This was the first Maple theme, I think, in any. I may be wrong, maybe DS has it, but I don't think it does.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah, Mario Kart Wii was the first Maple. It has beautiful sound. It has beautiful fall colors. Just so cool. I think they may have also introduced the first, like the Mushroom Gorge, the bouncy mushroom levels.
Yeah. No, this one had some great tracks.
That was
I had a lot of fun playing this game. Also, you could play as Funky Kong, which, for some reason. Mario Kart 7, this was really, you just took Mario Kart DS and like made it better in every single way. Made the online matchmaking better. They fixed sneaking.
Do you feel like there's a strong distinction between 7 and DS? Like to the point where you would call them separate games and think of them separately?
Yeah. I mean, there was probably about a 6 or 7 year period between them. So a lot of mechanics got fixed, especially when you're like, especially online play was so much better in 7 than it was on Kart DS. But I mean, like functionally, it's the same, right? The concept is the same. I think this might have been the first one where they brought out the hang gliders, which didn't really add or take away anything to the game for me.
I didn't love or need those.
So they also had the underwater carts for the first time, which again, whatever. Nothing functionally changed enough. But It was just a better Mario Kart, and it had been a while. I never owned Mario Kart Wii, so when I bought 7, it had been like 7 years since I'd actually bought a Mario Kart game. So I think for me that might have been the reason that it became like so much more of a.
I think I kind of love the themes for this one. I love Shy Guy Bazaar.
Yes.
I love the music park. I love. Well, I like Neo Bowser City. I really like the Rainbow Road in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really well designed courses. They're really fun to look at.
I think this might have been Wii, but it might have been Kart 7. Is the first? It was one of those games where the first tracks that were instead of laps were just 3 big chunks. It was one long race.
Yes, this was the first long chunk one,
and I think that was fun. I'm glad they have done that a little bit more.
It lets them design some really neat things.
Yeah.
Was this the one? Yeah, I think this was the one with the different snow level. Was it this one or was it 8 that has the really really long?
That's 8. Wario Mountain
downhill. Okay, got it. Moving on to 8.
Of which, I never played this on the Wii U in 2014 when it came out, so I have.
No, I think of this as a Switch game.
Yeah, so for all intents and purposes, this came out in 16 or 17. I can't remember which year. 17 is when the Switch came out.
Yep.
So, yes, this is like. I mean, to me, the Switch has been my favorite console that I've ever owned. This is my favorite multiplayer game on that console. So I think by default, I have to say this is like my favorite multiplayer game of all time.
This album is a delightful mix of their experimental side and their traditionalist nostalgia side. It brings back some great tracks. It adds some really unusual new features. I feel like they rescued Diddy Kong Racing, which I don't want to speak of other than this, by adding some of those other kart modes and really making them work a little bit better. But in small doses. And this one is a big step up in terms of like graphics and set design.
Yeah.
All the others are beautiful to look at, but this is gorgeous. They put so much effort into the artwork in this game. And some of my favorite old tracks got really nice makeovers where it was just different enough that I felt like it was a fresh play and I had to relearn it, but not so different that I felt they lost the spirit of the old track. Yeah. So the retro courses are all just an absolute joy to play in this game. Personal favorites from the retro ones, the Music Park and the Yoshi Valley, because again, like those were very tight experiences in the old game that you honed and learned really carefully, and you just have to relearn them here. So it's like someone got you a new instrument of your instance of your favorite instrument.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to learn flute again.
Yeah, and they brought back Baby Park, and
they brought.
I feel like they brought back the spirit of the spirit of Double Dash in Baby Park. It's still functionally plays the way that you would have played it on Double Dash without having a second character on your cart. You still don't want to go into the 6th lap in first place. No, not at all. Also, this one. Remember, so we spent a while doing this. Last time I stayed with you was all the 200cc. The 200cc kind of makes it like learning a whole new racing game.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot.
Again, beautiful balance between what's accessible and what's deep for people who've been playing the series for a long time. It's and in your 30s, it's kind of getting hard to handle the 200cc.
Yeah.
I look forward to I look forward to the point where they inevitably up it to like 300 and we're old. And really can't handle it. Also, big shout out to this one for making some of the other Nintendo properties stick inside Mario Kart. Like Excite Bike, Mute City, and Animal Crossing are all
great tracks.
Pretty joyful to play. They're good tracks, yeah.
And you can be Isabelle. I used to main Yoshi. That was the only character I would play as. And ever since this game, I'm all aboard the Isabelle train, man. This one also, I think that you mentioned back in Double Dash, they implemented a mechanic that would help you catch up if you were in last place, and totally broke it and made it so that being in last place was basically the only way to win. But this one, I think they've done a really good job of making it accessible for players who are new to the series by not just giving them a mechanic to catch up. They put on a mode where it there's like a steering assist. So if you're not quite used to like drifting or things like that, like you can still reasonably stay even on Rainbow Road. Like you're not going to fall off.
My brother's 4-year-old daughter can play this with him, and she sometimes finishes better than 12th place, and it's great joy. So, where do you want to see the series go? What will keep Mario Kart the best series of all time?
Course design. I love the way a lot of these new courses look in Mario Kart 8. I think they kind of went off the rails a little bit with this anti-gravity stuff, where they're just like, once you get over like the mental image of like seeing the whole thing flip upside down, you realize you didn't have to do anything other than turn like you normally would have turned. Like I think 7, like through like from Double Dash through 7, they did like some really cool stuff with courses, and I think they need to up that. And then I would also 8 has a decent battle mode. I still think 64 is better. I think that's one place they can still work on improving the series, make battle mode more fun.
Yeah. I think I would say keep doing what you're doing. Like try a couple of new things every time. I've always loved that the series throws away the ones that don't work. I'd love to see them go back and do more multipath, like really confusingly multipath tracks. I miss Yoshi's.
That's a good point.
Yoshi's multipath track. That was a weird one. I'd love to see them do better battle, but on the whole, like of all the franchises, I think this is the one where I most trust the people who are running the franchise to keep doing a good thing. And if you told me there was a Mario Kart 9 tomorrow, it's the one I would be most likely to just go get on spec.
Yeah, I think they're due for another Double Dash. They need another just like wacky. It's been 4 games since Double Dash. They should just throw some, just try something.
All right, cool. I think we're good.
Cool, man. That was Mario Kart. Thanks everyone for listening to us, and we'll be back soon to talk about more of your favorite series, and ours mostly. That's what I care about.
All right,
just kidding.
Bye everyone.
All right, later.